Mrs. Holness, Mr. Bartlett, Mr. Holness, Dr. Clark, Dr. Chang, Mr. Montague, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Samuda, Ms. Grange, Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Mallow-Fort, Dr. Tufton, Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Charles, Mr. Terlong, Ms. Smith, Mr. Main, Dr. Dunn, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Davis, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown Burke, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Clark, Mr. Cousins, Ms. Crawford, Ms. Daly, Ms. Davis, Mr. Golding, Mr. Graham, Mr. Green, Dr. Guy, Ms. Hamilton, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Henriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Miss Lee, Mr. Miller, Miss Morrison, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Sibbles, Mr. Slowly, Mrs. Vaz, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Witter, Mr. Wright, Mr. Shaw, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn. Oh.
Just before we get into the business of the house, members, this afternoon, just before we start the business of the House, we must take note that sitting with us this evening in the well of Parliament is the Honourable Colonel Charles O.J. We are truly honored and delighted to have him this evening. He was the former Speaker of the House, whom I succeeded. I told him this afternoon when I saw him that when I saw him on TV and now in person, he's truly handsome. And as we would say, that the Jamaican genes, and I am sincere about that, the Jamaican genes, as Jamaican people would say, stand bold and strong in him, because no one would believe his age. He looks wonderful. And Speaker, we celebrate and congratulate you and on the honor that has been so rightly bestowed on you. We congratulate you and we celebrate with you. And this evening, he stands as a proud father of 2 members of Parliament. And additionally, he is here to share as his daughter, who is a member of Parliament from St. Thomas Easton, makes her contribution this evening to the state of the constituency debate. So we really want to celebrate. There's so much to celebrate this evening with him, in that he's the former Speaker of the House, a man who has served his country well and is alive, well and healthy to be here and share even as one of his children make their presentation to the state of the constituency. I also want to bring to the attention of the House that I received a letter from the Honorable Peter D. Phillips, PhD, OJ, and MP, and he acknowledged the letter of congratulations that was sent to him from this Parliament, and he did say that he is indebted to members of this House, past and present, for their guidance and their friendship as he served his nation in his capacity as a member of the House. We continue to celebrate with him and wish him well as the years move on. Thank him also for his service to the nation and to this Parliament. And this evening, I didn't have enough time to miss him, but I want to say this evening, I'm delighted to have the Minister of Commerce here with us this evening, and we look forward, and Agriculture, and we look forward to his presentations in his former style, and wish him well in all his endeavors. Minister, it would be remiss of me. It's investment, industry, commerce, and agriculture, and I don't wish to deny you any, and fisheries as well. So we wish you well, and we look forward to hearing it. And even as you rise, I invite you to.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And just to remind you, Madam Speaker, that you did miss out one. It's industry, investment, commerce, agriculture, and the fisheries.
I don't want to miss out anybody's title, but the Minister of Mining, Industry, Transport, Transport and Mining also received his CD on Monday, and we too. Okay.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
You have made mention to members of the House who received honors yesterday with the whole GRCD. But may I remind the House, remind yourself that, you also received an honor CD yesterday.
Madam Speaker, as usual, the member who just spoke took the words out of my mouth. But I really want to congratulate all the members of the House who have been so honored by the nation, and to say that as we serve the country, others will be honored in the future. You just have to make sure you serve and serve well, and you will be appropriately recognized. Congratulations to all.
Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, join the House Leader in paying tribute to each of the awardees for the stellar work they have carried out over the years, and we believe for those who continue to serve, we look forward to the continuing contribution, and for those who have concluded their service to this House, we congratulate them and so well we wish them on their journey forward. Congratulations.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of all the members who were so honored on Monday, I wish to thank you although you're one, and the rest of the House and the staff members for the kind words. We all came to this job to serve, not to be served. We worked, we served to the interests of the people, and we thank the Jamaican people for the opportunity to serve. We never serve seeking reward. We are all humbled and grateful that we are recognized. But all of us, every single member of the House who was honored, accepts the award on behalf of all the everyday heroes in Jamaica. Our healthcare workers, security forces, our teachers, our bus and taxi operators, all the heroes who every day go out to make Jamaica that great place it is.
Very well said on behalf of us all, Minister Montague. Statements by ministers. Announcements. Even as I have mentioned the item announcements, that item will be recommitted later today. Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally. Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the following motion. Whereas the safety and well-being of the nation's children is a collective responsibility across the society and is a key priority for the government, and whereas the safety and well-being of children who are seen from time to time living and or working on the streets of Jamaica are a concern to the government and well-thinking citizens, since the phenomenon is undesirable and is indicative of neglect, abuse, exploitation, and socioeconomic hardships. And whereas the exposure and hazards associated with living and working on the streets pose significant risk to the safety and well-being of our nation's children, and whereas the scourge of children living and or working on the streets of Jamaica appears to be prevalent, particularly across our urban centers and major towns, with children often seen peddling wares, offering to clean windshields in exchange for money, even during school hours. And whereas the government of Jamaica, through its lead agency for the care and protection of the nation's children, that is the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, which operates under the auspices of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, benefited from technical and financial assistance from Windrock International under its Clear 2 project, which saw the execution of a study across 9 parishes to determine the prevalence and factors that predispose children to living and working on the streets of Jamaica. And whereas the aforementioned study sought to identify gaps in the provision of care and social protection services that impede an effective response to addressing street children, and to create a roadmap designed to reduce, if not eliminate altogether, the practice and prevalence of children living and working on the streets of Jamaica. And whereas during the execution of the study, 413 children were engaged across the 9 parishes, with 373 or 90.3% of them participating to the end of this study. And whereas the breakdown of the number of children who participated in the study entails 235 or 63% boys and 138 or 37% girls, and whereas the proportion of females was as expected less than that of males, the foregoing observation is critical, as there are many in our society who hold the mistaken view that our girls do not typically work or engage in activities aimed at eking out an existence on the streets, and whereas the highest proportion, that is 30.35% of the children living and are working on the streets of Jamaica, fall within the 12 to 13 age group, and whereas the researchers went beyond engaging the children who were the primary subjects of the study by conducting 24 focus group sessions with parents and guardians, 10 focus group sessions with children, and 75 personal interviews with parents and guardians as part of the fact-finding, all of which were a result of visits to 58 urban centers across 9 parishes, utilizing both overt and covert research strategies. And whereas the findings further revealed that 319 or 94% of the 337 children who indicated that they work on the streets actually return home, that is, to their place of abode, whilst the remaining 18 or 5% subsist by living or sleeping on the streets. And whereas the major proportion, that is 101 or 35% of the children reported that they hustle / work or beg each day of the week, whilst 46 or 16% of them reported that they hustle / work or beg 4 days per week, and 54 or 18% of them reported that they hustle beg 3 days of the week. And whereas children who participated in the study, that is 260 or 72%, reported that they attend school most days, while 65 or 18% reported that they attend school sometimes, 34 or 9.4% reported that they used to attend school but no longer do so, and the remaining children, less than 1%, report that they have never attended school. And whereas the study determined that the majority of the children hustle / work or beg on the streets in the daytime only, whilst approximately 25% of them hustle / work or beg on the streets, both in the daytime as well as at nights. And whereas 57% of the children who hustle / work or beg on the streets in the daytime reported doing so after school, it is to be noted that this phenomenon mirrors the findings of a similar study conducted back in 2002, highlighting that the majority of the children working on the streets of Jamaica actually attend school but are engaged in the practice as a means of generating funds to support themselves and their families. And whereas the most common daytime hustle / work practices entail the peddling of wares such as personal care items, toiletries, snacks, ground provisions, and newspapers, the study determined that over 25% of the children are involved in wiping windshields and or the washing of cars, while 12% are involved in hustle / work at nightclubs and parties. And whereas the study revealed that children also found a living off the dumps in Kingston and St. James, it should also be noted that some of the children who live and or work on the streets are involved in generating funds by using fake sponsorship sheets, that is, not associated with any legitimate charities or fundraising causes, as well as labeled money tins, while others are involved in the scrap metal trade. And whereas the study most disturbingly determined that some of the children, both boys and girls, living and or working on the streets were initiated / are involved in a life of prostitution, the researchers noted that some of the respondents view the practice as a normal way of life and are actually patronized by individuals considered to be persons of substantial financial means in our society. And whereas the researchers found that some of the children are also involved in criminality and are perpetrators of violence, the study also determined that consumption poverty is the most obvious and notable push factor as it relates to the scourge and prevalence of children living and or working on the streets of Jamaica, whereas the prospect of quickly generating monetary gains is the most significant and compelling pull factor. And whereas the majority of children who live and or work on the streets do not feel threatened or do not pose threats to others, there are indeed those who are involved in such deviant and menacing behavior that they are a threat to citizens and are themselves at high risk of such adverse incidents as rape, assault, abduction, and even death. And whereas the researchers determined that the children and parents are generally seized of the foregoing hazards, they concluded that the children who venture to the major streets now comprise older and more hardened children who know the dynamics of the streets, and they serve as lookouts for others and help by intervening in testy situations. And whereas the factors and forces that entice children to the streets are complex and interrelated, the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, and indeed the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, note that addressing these challenges should not be limited to the realm of policy and program interventions, but more so by creating an environment of collaboration across ministries, departments, and agencies of government, non-governmental organizations, the private sector, and other civil society organizations at the local and national levels as a means of establishing a framework of action that embraces clear definition of the problem and determination of the deliverables, as well as effective and measurable methods for implementing and evaluating actions. Be it resolved that members of Parliament and the nation at large endorse the recently established multi-sectoral body on children living and or working on the streets of Jamaica, which is approved by Cabinet to, among other things, design and determine the street and working children framework of action and roadmap, and most importantly, to oversee the implementation of the provisions and deliverables contained therein as the nation seeks to more effectively address the phenomenon of children living and working on our streets. And be it also resolved that the members of Parliament and the nation at large support the work of the multi-sectoral body and utilize available platforms to highlight and raise awareness of the said multi-sectoral body, which comprises representatives from key stakeholders across ministries, departments, and agencies of government, non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, as well as international development partners, and is tasked with paying special attention to the programs and interventions pertaining to this phenomenon and childcare and protection more generally, in a bid to build a collaborative network that will treat with the root causes of children living and working on the streets, with focused emphasis on the family level, the school, and the community. And be it also resolved that members of Parliament and the nation at large note that the multi-sectoral body is mandated to create and oversee the implementation of intervention strategies aimed at significantly reducing, if not eliminating altogether, the phenomenon of children living and working on the streets, including acknowledging and addressing the norms, beliefs, and values that influence choices across and within communities, stemming intergenerational inequities such that families can transcend conditions of poverty, which necessarily involves implementing an aggressive, transformative income generation program for parents and guardians, and arresting low educational achievement across generations, addressing learning and psychological challenges among children on the street, urgently tackling the factors that push children to the streets, including within the education system, expanding the programs to effectively prevent new cohorts of children from entering the streets, implementing or enforcing legislative provisions regarding child labor, and developing an effective communication program that will advocate against the practice of children living and or working on the streets. And be it also resolved that in the interest of rescuing our children who find themselves in vulnerable situations, members of Parliament utilize their platform and position of influence to advance the mandate of the multi-sectoral body and complement its work by engaging and mobilizing non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations, faith-based groups, as well as private sector entities in their constituencies, as those organizations have significant reach and influence, which can help to positively shape attitudes pertaining to children living and or working on the streets, increase individual and collective consciousness regarding the same, and ultimately effect behavioral changes so that before long the practice can be significantly reduced, if not eliminated altogether. And be it further resolved that this Honourable House recognizes this as a national institution of which much is expected. We cannot afford to stand idly by in the face of egregious threats to the safety and well-being of vulnerable children and their families without redoubling our efforts, and as such, an active interest must be taken in the work and progress of the multi-sectoral body, particularly as it relates to the interventions they will be monitoring and the effectiveness of said interventions in terms of impact, and simultaneously make a concerted effort to discourage the practice of children living and or working on the streets, and encourage others to do likewise whenever we come into contact with them or observe them hustling, working or begging as we go about our business each day. Madam Speaker, very soon in a subsequent sitting of Parliament, I will be moving for the approval of this resolution, and my colleague MPs are asked to take a keen look at this resolution and to make their contributions as well. And I will ask the Clerk of the House to have this resolution circulated to all my colleague MPs. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions and answers to questions. Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice. Motions relating to sittings of the House. Motions for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. Public business.
Madam Speaker, it is proposed under public business to go directly to the state of constituency debate. And so I wish to indicate to you that we will continue the debate with contributions from Dr. Michelle Charles, Member of Parliament, St. Thomas Eastern, and Mr. Delroy Slowly, Member of Parliament, St. Elizabeth Northeast, in that order, Madam Speaker.
The question is that we go directly to the state of the constituency debate. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. We now ask the member from St. Thomas Eastern to rise and make her contribution.
Madam Speaker, permission to speak from a seat that is not my own. I must first of all say thank you to Almighty God, for it is He who is the architect of my life, and it is He who deserves the highest praise. Madam Speaker, I am delighted to rise for the very first time in this honourable House as Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Eastern. Madam Speaker, I stand here acknowledging the weight of the responsibility and awesome opportunity to represent people that I have grown up with. A seat that my father introduced to me when he was Member of Parliament, from a seat that my brother usually sits right here. Madam Speaker, we have something in common, as you two now sit in a seat previously occupied by my father. And you both received national awards this weekend. Congratulations, Madam Speaker. I wish you well as you continue to be fair in your deliberations. Madam Speaker, I walked the street of St. Thomas Eastern as a child. I ate, played, studied, and slept there. And now I represent that space that I have always loved and will always love. That is why, Madam Speaker, every sweat and effort that I give is given with humility, confidence, and a genuine desire to see better for the people of St. Thomas Eastern. Madam Speaker, against all odds, internal, external, above and below, I, through His grace, have been able to shine. And I, through His grace, will make sure Eastern St. Thomas shines. I have sat from those chairs in the gallery several times, watching, listening, and learning. I have been blessed with the wisdom and guidance of my father, who has given more than 55 years of service to his country, and it is fitting for me, through you, Madam Speaker, to congratulate him on his national award for representation that he has given to this seat, and for everything that he has instilled in me, together with my mother and my family. I have to acknowledge him. Madam Speaker, I am a daughter, a sister, a mother, a dental surgeon, and I am also a Jamaican. A Jamaican who has made sacrifices to come back home to contribute to the development of my country and against all odds give my life to service. This came from my father's teachings and my mother's sacrifice and service. The Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he's old, he will not depart from it. Madam Speaker, I stand here on my own 2 feet, but I was carried here on the shoulders of the wonderful people of St. Thomas Eastern. Madam Speaker, for almost 28 years of mismanagement, almost 28 years of being called the forgotten parish, and almost 28 years of living in the dark, on September the 3rd, 2020, the people of St. Thomas Eastern chose to see light. They decided it's time for St. Thomas Eastern to shine. Madam Speaker, the people of St. Thomas Eastern have put their faith in me to come here to represent their interests, and I want to tell them that with dedication and hard work, I will not let them down. Madam Speaker, permit me to say thank you to those who made this possible, like Mr. Delano Seavright, who believed in me before I believed in myself. He believed in me, Madam Speaker, when it didn't even make sense. And I must say a big thank you to those whose disbelief in me gave me fuel to work so much harder. I told them, Madam Speaker, those who count me out can't count. Madam Speaker, I am the beneficiary of a family that supports me in everything I do, even if my ideas seem beyond their own imagination. So I must also thank my entire family, which you all know is too big to name names. Thank you to my diamond team, my inner circle, and if you have to wonder if you're in it, you're not. A very special thank you to Melvina Fid and to my driver Bob and Buffalo. Special thank you to Mayor Delroy Williams, Councillor Andrew Bellamy, and Councillor Caretaker Nordine McKenzie, who never left my side. Thank you to Mayor Michael Hugh and Councillor Michael McLeod and our constituency secretaries, Ms. Cooper and Ms. Small. Madam Speaker, I belong to the best Area Council 2, and I want to thank each and every member of Area Council 2 for welcoming me to the team. Area Council 2, and they protected me, Madam Speaker, when I needed it the most, and my heart is full when I think of them. I love Area Council 2. Thank you, Area Council 2. Madam Speaker, there's not enough time to say thank you to individually, but I must thank my JLP family, led by our party leader, Prime Minister, the most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness. Special thank you to our chairman, the member from St. Mary Western, and to our General Secretary, the member from St. James Northwestern. Their guidance and words of encouragement will never be forgotten. Madam Speaker, St. Thomas Eastern was the last orange dot on the map. It is bordered by West St. Thomas and East Portland, and those two members are truly my brother and sister, and I must acknowledge them. Thank you to each and every party worker, my executives, my management team, to every advocate, every community worker, each and every person who told someone to vote for the Jamaica Labour Party. Thank you also to my social media family and to those persons who came up to me and just whispered in my ears. Madam Speaker, I may be taking some time to say thank you, but after losing an election 6 times in a row, it wasn't easy to convince some of them that I was the woman for the job. Madam Speaker, please allow me a moment to acknowledge the other women members of Parliament which sit in this House as well. We sit in this House based on equally hard work and achievement, not because of gender. This achievement, Madam Speaker, would not have been possible without opportunity, and I want to put on record my gratitude to all who played a role in offering this opportunity to prove that women candidates can and will win. Madam Speaker, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and as I stand here in pink because I want to encourage all women in Jamaica to go ahead and get their screening mammograms done. Madam Speaker, when I was 10 years old, I told both of my parents that I wanted to one day become a member of this House, just like my father, and the former member from St. Andrew Southwest, my Auntie Portia. Today, I stand here as the second woman member of Parliament from St. Thomas Eastern, the first being Ms. Violet Thompson from the People's National Party, who won in 1976. Madam Speaker, I stand before you today to speak on behalf of the most easterly constituency in Jamaica. There you find Morant Point Lighthouse, erected in 1841 by crewmen from Africa. It is the oldest lighthouse on the island and the first cast-iron lighthouse built in the Western Hemisphere. St. Thomas Eastern is about 138 square miles, or about 46% of the total area of St. Thomas. Our 4 divisions are Morant Bay, the capital, Port Morant, Dalby, and Bath. Madam Speaker, St. Thomas Eastern was previously known for our banana and sugar estates. We are a rural seat with hard-working farmers and fishermen. The field of agriculture is no stranger to me. My grandfather was a farmer, my grandmother raised chickens, and in 1993, when my father lost the St. Thomas Eastern seat, a journalist asked him what would he do next. His response, "I will go back to farming." The agriculture sector has always been important to economic growth and development in St. Thomas. This Honourable House can appreciate that the agriculture sector is particularly vulnerable to the impact of weather-based disasters, with severe weather conditions being a major challenge. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries for partnering with GK Insurance to introduce the parametric rain, drought and wind insurance policy. I want to report to this House that some 100 constituents have been assisted with farming equipment and supplies through the Production Intensive Program administered through RADA, and another 100 fishermen and women through the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries received benefits due to the tropical storm Zeta. I am grateful that under the former minister, an additional $740,000 has been allocated for additional support. In addition, a number of farmers received gravity drip irrigation systems and a 1,000-gallon water tank. Madam Speaker, Our government understands that most of our farm roads need some attention. Through RADA, contracts were awarded for the rehabilitation of the Cedar Grove to Johnson Mountain Farm Road. We have also requested rehabilitation of farm roads in Nuts River, Withersfield, and Erie Castle. This will enable smoother movement of farm produce and improve economic well-being. Madam Speaker, the SCJ Holdings Limited has also collaborated with All Island Jamaica Cane Farmers Association to facilitate hundreds of farmer sugar workers establish alternative economic livelihoods. This includes leasing of almost 3,000 acres of land. Madam Speaker, St. Thomas Eastern's land is fertile and people are hardworking. It is time for St. Thomas Eastern to shine. Madam Speaker, I have inherited a constituency that has been plagued by unemployment. This has caused brain drain within the constituency as our graduates have now migrated to other parishes or abroad. This is not a new phenomenon, Madam Speaker. The movement of people has always been linked to a failure of where you are to provide you with an opportunity so you move somewhere else. Madam Speaker, Eastern St. Thomas has some of the brightest and most ambitious young people in Jamaica. I want to tell the young people of St. Thomas that their hopes and opportunities are no longer outside of our parish, but it will be right here where you live. It is time to bring St. Thomas workers home. It is time to create jobs for them in St. Thomas, and I'm here to pioneer that job. Madam Speaker, I am sure the member from the West will allow me to announce that just recently, Cabinet approved a joint venture agreement between the Factories Corporation of Jamaica and China Harbour Engineering Company Limited to establish the Morant Bay Urban Centre. This project, financed by the National Commercial Bank, is expected to cost a total of $6 billion. The Morant Bay Urban Centre is presently overbooked and is expected to host both public and private entities, which will include 2 BPO facilities, a university, supermarket, and multiple fast food restaurants. Yes, Madam Speaker, KFC is coming to St. Thomas. The opening of the Morant Bay Centre is expected to provide thousands of jobs for people of St. Thomas, and our people on the east side will benefit from this venture. Madam Speaker, a block-making machine was donated and delivered to licensed St. Thomas, which was acquired through partnership with Hart NSTA and Carib Cement. The Ministry of Education, in partnership with Hart, will provide training and certification to the young people of St. Thomas Eastern. This will also bring economic benefits to the community, and I must put on a record our gratitude to Carib Cement Company. Yes. Madam Speaker, the young people in St. Thomas are ambitious. They just need opportunity. It's time for St. Thomas Eastern to shine. Madam Speaker, let me take the opportunity to thank the Ministry of National Security, along with the security forces, the JDF, JCF, the military, and the firefighters for the outstanding job they have been doing in St. Thomas and Jamaica at large. Over the weekend, our skills were tested the most. Madam Speaker, 2 young girls, Felissa and Winshay, were abducted by a man who was put on bail. Madam Speaker, when I heard the act, I cringed. As a mother, my heart broke, and I cried like many others. I had sleepless nights. An African proverb states that it takes a village to raise a child. And Madam Speaker, our village came out in droves to rescue those children. We had a manhunt on the ground, including our security forces. People came from near and far, and I want to thank each and every citizen and volunteer that assisted the security forces. Thank you to those who prayed for their safety. Madam Speaker, did you see what happened in Eastern St. Thomas? An African proverb says, when spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion. Madam Speaker, my tears of sadness quickly turned to anger, and I want to warn those monsters in our society that we are watching and we will not accommodate your nastiness. We will not accommodate you stalking, raping, or terrorizing our children. I am calling on all well-thinking Jamaicans, men and women, to push them out of the darkness. Let us know who they are. Everything done in the dark must come to the light. Madam Speaker, I am calling for a restructuring of the mechanism to ensure that we know who is living among us. There are reasons why we have a sex offender registry. The reason is to identify these persons so we can protect the community. That is not effectively being done. I am calling for a more effective system and all necessary legislative changes that are required to create the framework needed for us to be able to protect our children and our community from the claws of these beasts. Madam Speaker, there are many issues to consider when evaluating our bail system in Jamaica, but I have a concern. When someone is placed on bail and is prohibited from a community.
Madam Speaker, I ask that the member be allowed sufficient time to complete her presentation.
The question before the House is that the member be given sufficient time to complete her presentation. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Member?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, my colleagues. Madam Speaker, there are many issues to consider when evaluating our bail system in Jamaica. But I have a concern. When someone is placed on bail and is prohibited from a community where an offence is alleged to have occurred, they have to now move to a different community. That shifting of problem can lead to multiple problems, unless there's a structured monitoring of the person who is on bail. Madam Speaker, for instance, we had over 800 persons looking for one man in my constituency. Imagine, Madam Speaker, if that one man had an ankle bracelet on. Madam Speaker, I am calling for the use of technology to enhance the capabilities of the security forces to be able to track somebody. We should not have so much difficulty finding someone that is interacting with our own court. If he had an ankle bracelet, we would have known exactly where he took it off, if he took it off, or where he is if he kept it on. Madam Speaker, this is another reason why I support the NID system driven by our Prime Minister, so we can know where people are and who they are. I want to encourage everyone to invest in CCTV as well. Because of that one person's investment, we were able to identify who that was very early. Madam Speaker, I cringe at every Ananda alert. I weep with every news report of another boy or girl gone missing. When will it stop? What is most alarming, Madam Speaker, is that the subject is still at large. I say to him and to all involved, turn yourself into the police. You are in the wrong constituency. We are the constituency of Paul Bogle, and you will be found. Madam Speaker, we have to get this under control so that we in Jamaica can live and those abroad can visit. It's time for us to shine. Madam Speaker, I turn to tourism. Tourism is the tool for poverty reduction and is an immediate rescue mission for Eastern St. Thomas. The Minister of Tourism, who's in Dubai having a good time, receiving all of our awards, has announced a fantastic plan for St. Thomas and Portland, making up what we can only describe as the Negril of the East. Let me inform the member from Westmoreland Western that we will be inviting some of his tourists to come to the east side. Madam Speaker, tourism will help rescue our constituency. Tourism, staycations are extremely important. I brought some small gifts for everyone, so you can have a little bit of massage oil from the bath mineral fountain, and you get a little bit of mud. The oils are very, very nice, and the oils are straight from St. Thomas. We have brown and white sand stretching from St. Thomas Western to the member from East Portland. The tourism minister has already shown me an outline to develop my constituency and other constituencies in the East. And my job, Madam Speaker, is to start the training of the young people in Eastern St. Thomas to fill these jobs, and that will come with this, fill the jobs that will come with this development. Tourism will create jobs that will empower the people, young and old, within our constituency. For example, the other day, we graduated 17 lifeguards who are now waiting on hotels and tourists to take up their rightful place. In all this, Madam Speaker, the essence of my excitement of tourism coming to the East is the important milestone that will see to the global awareness of social, cultural, and economic value of tourism, because tourism isn't just about sand and beach, but economic and cultural development of our nation. Heritage tourism will play a major role in St. Thomas Eastern, and I am in discussion with Minister Grange about returning the Paul Bogle statue to its rightful place in Morant Bay, and for a proclamation of a Paul Bogle Day. Madam Speaker, I now turn to an area of international concern: climate change. Eastern St. Thomas faces an immediate emergency crisis caused by climate change. From Bamboo River to Port Morant, Bowden to Pira, Morant Point going into Portland, the sea is at war with us. The sea is working night and day, 24/7. It's as if the sea is coming into the east, heading to the north coast, going straight through the island and eroding our coastline. I turn to the Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change to inform him that any massive rain or storm that will hit us in the next few weeks or months, Port Morant will be covered with water. I therefore invite him to come and help secure Port Morant and Bowden. I am requesting adequate resources to build a wall from Leith Hall via Port Morant right down to Bowden. Please, please, Minister, come and help me rescue the people of Eastern St. Thomas. Madam Speaker, I'm also happy to announce that a recycling company was opened in Morant Bay in January this year. I want to take the opportunity to welcome the recycling partners of Jamaica to the east side and welcome the education campaign, which will help to reduce plastic in our drains and the ocean. Madam Speaker, on the weekend, there was a fire at Church Corner Landfill in Morant Bay. The burning of plastic contributes to greenhouse emissions, which influences climate change and continues to negatively affect our environment. I would like to congratulate the hard-working members of the Jamaica Fire Brigade for their timely response. The location of this landfill has been a concern to the residents, and I look forward to a solution in the near future. Madam Speaker, the collection of garbage is a challenge in St. Thomas Eastern, and we look forward to the ministry receiving an additional 100 trucks to improve on what we currently have. In the meantime, Madam Speaker, we will be partnering with TBDCO to build garbage skips throughout the constituency. Madam Speaker, the Jamaica Social Investment Fund partnered with JPS, and over 100 houses in Dumfries will be wired. I want to thank the JISTV and the Ministry of Local Government for their tireless work in making life better for the parish of St. Thomas and, by extension, Jamaica. Thank you also for accepting Cheswick to be one of your 5 pilot communities for rural development. Madam Speaker, we look forward to seeing that community transform. It is time for St. Thomas Eastern to shine. Madam Speaker, I will now speak on a matter of paramount importance, that is education. Madam Speaker, I come from a family that strongly believes in the importance of education. Madam Speaker, I also believe anybody who wants to work hard enough should be able to get whatever job training they need to be able to earn a living and take care of their family. Over the past year, I have enhanced the education level within my constituency through our CDF by assisting students with education grants, book vouchers, tuition assistance, uniform, tablets through our Your Own Device program, and we are also seeking assistance to help provide more students with this necessary tool to aid them in the learning process. Madam Speaker, CSEC vouchers were also given out in the last academic year. Our government pays for math and English exams, and we in St. Thomas Eastern from our CDF will further assist by paying for one more subject for each student, a subject of their choice. This will give every grade 11 student the opportunity to sit a minimum of 3 CSEC exams. Never let it be said that a child wanted to do an exam and was unable to do so because of financial constraints. Additionally, over 100 young people were registered on the Heart Trust NSTA HOPE program. Madam Speaker, 2 tours were done by a Universal Service Fund team to determine the potential areas to establish free Wi-Fi. Madam Speaker, everyone deserves to have access to free Wi-Fi, so we look forward to the completion of this project. It is time for St. Thomas Eastern to shine. Madam Speaker, Eastern St. Thomas Roads infrastructure has been extremely poor over the years. Through this government, we have been able to conduct numerous road patching programs to address infrastructural development within the constituency in areas such as Leith Hall, Portmorant, Bath, Stanton Road, Pleasant Hill, Wilmington, and Morant Bay Town. Madam Speaker, I'm so happy to report that Eastern St. Thomas will also benefit from the construction of the South Coast Highway, which runs from Harbourview to Portland. This road project has also created numerous employment opportunities, and we are eternally grateful. Madam Speaker, I want to appeal to my constituents to bear with us while we work to improve our roads for a better commute. Madam Speaker, I want to also say thank you to the member from Southwest St. Catherine, the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creations, for assisting us with the bad tracks that we have inherited. Thank you also for funds allotted for the well-needed drain cleaning and bushing. Where is he? Madam Speaker, there's a quote which says, "Hard roads require the will of steel." Well, I have the will of steel, Madam Speaker, and it's time for St. Thomas Eastern to shine. Madam Speaker, the phrase "water is the source of life" is often overused. However, it has great significance. In my constituency, there are many drums and tanks which sit empty, and pipe water is an envied commodity. The National Water Commission is embarking on a program to bring improved access and distribution of water. Madam Speaker, to date, we have been able to supply trucked water to areas such as Spring Garden, Dalvey, Cheswick, Leith Hall, Top Hill, Lyson, Rowlandsfield, Old Pier, and Wilmington. However, this is an unsustainable method of water supply. Madam Speaker, we will be upgrading the Erie Castle Portmorant water system as a part of the CBD Rural Water Supply Program. Detailed designs are scheduled to be completed by January 2022. The implementation will commence 12 months after funding is finalized by the Government of Jamaica in the amount of $500 million. Madam Speaker, the replacement of pipelines in conjunction with the South Coast Highway Improvement Program is expected to cost approximately $700 million. Madam Speaker, much work has been done in an effort to improve the social, economic well-being of my constituency. Several students benefited from the Own Your Own Device program. 100 students received tablets from the Serve Jamaica Digital Device program. Several persons benefited from the Short-Term Poverty Reduction program and from the Food Basket Food Support for Vulnerable program. Over 2,000 care packages were distributed, along with masks and sanitizers. 5 persons will receive houses from the HOPE program. All 5 persons were already interviewed and site visits already completed. 10 cane cutters went away on the farm work program from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. Several building grants and funeral grants have been given, several medical grants as well. Madam Speaker, I move into health. It goes without saying that this pandemic has taken a toll on all of us. I want to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the Minister of Health and Wellness and his team of superhero healthcare workers, and to congratulate them on all the work that they have been doing. So far, the St. Thomas Health Department has fully vaccinated 5,237 persons, and we have recorded 53 deaths from COVID-19. Madam Speaker, regrettably, vaccine hesitancy has resulted in St. Thomas being at the bottom of the list on parishes. Madam Speaker, I love a good love story, and a few years ago, I met a gentleman in my constituency, Mr. Vincent McLeod, who met the love of his life, Miss Barbara, in May 1983. In 2015, she was told she needed dialysis, but there were no machines in St. Thomas or Portland. Mr. McLeod drove his wife to Kingston with love every Tuesday and Friday until she died of complications in December 2020. When I met him back in 2018, he told me about the strains and the expenses to assist the love of his life. $11,500 per session, and that did not include the transportation fees to get to Kingston. Madam Speaker, I promised that I would advocate for a private investor to look into bringing a dialysis center to the east side of the island. The sad reality is that persons who contract the COVID-19 virus that did not need to be hospitalized are now showing signs of kidney damage. And in some cases, the damage is so severe, they will also require dialysis. Madam Speaker, unvaccinated adults have an 11 times higher risk of dying from complications of COVID-19. Many people underestimate the long-term effects of COVID-19. These include kidney failure, diabetes, and a wide range of neurological conditions. I want to encourage everyone to get vaccinated to protect yourself and not place additional burden on our healthcare system. Madam Speaker, October is Oral Health Month. After being in dentistry for 30 years, oral health is, as you would imagine, paramount importance to me. We have launched a St. Thomas Jamaica Smiles, a project which is aimed at restoring the smiles by providing dentures to my constituents. Staged to commence in January 2020, St. Thomas Jamaica Smiles will expand to include other dental procedures in the coming months. Madam Speaker, I met a young lady last week I'm coming to you. I met a young lady last week who is very concerned and afraid for her future. And through you, Madam Speaker, I would like to speak directly to the young people of St. Thomas Eastern. Young people, you are included. We in St. Thomas are no longer forgotten. No parish gets everything, but every parish gets something. Rise up and take your place among parishes. We are the constituency of Miss Tony Ann Singh, the most beautiful woman in the world. We are the constituency of the Olympic champions, Gillette Cutler-Thin and Hansel Parchment. We are the constituency of Morgan Heritage, Skillibang and Popcorn. We are the constituency of Paul Bogle. We are the constituency of Bath Botanical Gardens and Mineral Bath, Bowden Wharf, several historical sites, Lyson Beach, and the best fish in the world. We are the constituency with Moran Point Lighthouse, hosting that light that guides the ship into the harbor. We are the constituency that the sun hits first when it rises in the morning. Madam Speaker, we are St. Thomas Eastern, and it is our time to shine. Madam Speaker, the Bible says in Psalms 27, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" Madam Speaker, I will remain confident in this. The negative stereotype of St. Thomas being forgotten must be removed from the lips and our thinking. This negative stereotype, Madam Speaker, this identity has shaped the way Jamaica looks at us and, in turn, how we in St. Thomas look at ourselves. Madam Speaker, I am committed to help remove this stereotype. This will not be an easy job, Madam Speaker, but it wasn't easy getting this seat either. Madam Speaker, the former Member of Parliament is a dental surgeon, like myself. Madam Speaker, removing him from this seat was like pulling teeth with 6 roots. And it was the sweetest extraction I've ever done. and extractions. Madam Speaker, let me conclude my presentation by giving commendation to what our government is doing in St. Thomas. No matter how hard it is to drive on our roads, yes, we are uncomfortable. But let me remind my people in St. Thomas that we are uncomfortably under construction. Madam Speaker, we will not be distracted in our efforts to implement and achieve all that this government, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, has planned for St. Thomas. We in St. Thomas Eastern, with the backing of our working government and God Almighty on our side, we know it is our time. We have the audacity to shine. Madam Speaker, I pray for love, light and blessings on St. Thomas Eastern and Jamaica, land we love. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, what a wonderful presentation.
Good one, good one. Good, sir.
So, Madam Speaker, at this point, the next speaker is Mr. Delroy Slowly, Member of Parliament, St. Elizabeth, Northeast.
Go ahead, member.
I'll take this one. I'll take this one. Madam Speaker, I seek your permission to speak from an area other than mine. Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I stand here today clad in humility and gratitude on this, my maiden presentation to the House. Madam Speaker, many said it could not have happened. Many said it was impossible. But as I stand here today, Madam Speaker, I'd like to remind us that whatever is impossible with man, it is possible with God. Madam Speaker, the number of things that's happening in our beautiful constituency of northeastern St. Elizabeth, 15 minutes can't cross it. We need a full session, Madam Speaker, but I'm going to try to condense as best as possible all the good things that's happening down there in our beautiful constituency. I want to say a special thank you to the people of Northeast St. Elizabeth, who has chosen me to be their member of Parliament and has mandated me to improve their lives. I want to say thanks to the various committees, volunteers and individuals within the constituency who toiled day in, and day out to make it possible for me to stand here today. I just want to say thank you. This day is yours. Madam Speaker, permit me to acknowledge some House members. The Most Honorable Michael Andrew Holness, the real builder. Andrew Michael Holness, let me get that right. The real builder. Sir, I want to say thank you for your support and for having the confidence in me that I would bring back Northeast St. Elizabeth to its rightful abode as a part of the ruling government party, and also for your great leadership, sir, at such a time like this, with the challenges faced by COVID-19, through the wisdom bestowed upon you by our Heavenly Father, I pray for your continued strength, and that no weapon that form against you shall ever prosper, in Jesus' name. Credit also the Honorable Minister Dr. Nigel Clark. We dub him the financial genius, one of the best finance minister of all time. And we who were groomed in the hills of Malvern back then, we say Bobowski Wantala Alafoa. And I assure you, Madam Speaker, there was no element of any expletive in that language. Bobowski Wantala Alafoa. Those of us from the hills, Monroe Days and Hampton, will understand. Madam Speaker, from a first-hand experience as a businessman, I can attest to the most impressive growth rate within my own business since our current finance minister took office. And this cannot be ascribed to coincidence, but instead his hard work towards building a strong and resilient economy, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also wish to acknowledge the Minister of Health, Dr. Christopher Tufton, for his effective management of the COVID-19 pandemic. This, along with all the other unsung heroes and members of the Cabinet, Madam Speaker. I also want to acknowledge House Member Honourable Minister Hutchinson, dubbed the five-star general, who told me at the start of my journey that we would walk down Garden House together repeatedly. I would also like to acknowledge House members Honourable Minister Horace Chang, MP Hira Clark, who provided support, sound advice during my campaign. I also would like to acknowledge the work that was done by all my predecessors who laid the groundwork and kept the JLP momentum strong during the 30-odd years of defeat, especially Senator Dr. Sapphire Longmore, whose support for me continues to be unwavering even to date. There are countless others that had my back within my community, Madam Speaker, including all the members of my family, the management team and my office team, to include my daughter Candy Slowly, Mrs. Margaret Isaacs, Mr. Peng, the councillor for the Santa Cruz Division, Mr. Christopher Williams, the only sitting JLP councillor within the constituency, Madam Speaker, and all the other divisional caretakers, along with the workers who have done so much in so many different ways. Mr. Harry Morrell and Mr. Nacadian Jones, who spearheaded what was successful, what was a successful election campaign. I thank you very much. Madam Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to mention three key individuals who have been so impactful in my overall development and success. Firstly, my grandmother, the late Mama Ertel. Madam Speaker, she has mothered me and fathered me from an early age of 3 months old, Madam Speaker. Giving me all the love and affection that I could ever dream of. Also the now deceased Deacon Stafford Gowans of the Santa Cruz Church of God, who saw within me leadership qualities that I myself wasn't even aware of in such an early days of my life. May their soul both rest in peace, Madam Speaker. The other person, Madam Speaker, is Mr. Vendris Miller, who saw it fit to provide significant capital injection without any form of collateral in my fledgling business venture over 20 years ago, when the preferred commercial institutions completely ignored and turned their backs on me. At a critical juncture as a young businessman, he saw the potential shown in my attitude towards success, and I encourage all my colleagues and successful entrepreneurs, where possible, to become mentors to youngsters within your community. Finally, most importantly, I have to give God the praise and glory for his goodness, for his mercy that has kept me thus far. I cannot brag of my love for him, as I have failed him so many times, Madam Speaker, but I can brag of his love for me, as his love for me has never failed. Madam Speaker, I could easily say from childhood days to now for me is one from rags to riches, even though I'm still awaiting the riches part. It has been a life filled with God's miraculous and divine hands on me. Madam Speaker, the songwriter says it's no secret what God can do. What is done for others, he can do it for you. At this point, I'd like to take this opportunity to remind every young Jamaican, male and female, matters not your present circumstances, that you all have greatness written on your lives. It's not where you are coming from, as I can personally attest to. It's about where you're going, where you want to go, Madam Speaker. I say to you, put your trust in the good Lord, the one who created you. Work hard and dream big. Never give up on your goals in life. And be reminded, your present challenges do not determine your future. You do. Just a little background, Madam Speaker. Prior to the 2020 general election, the only time the JLP had ever won a contested general election in this constituency was way back in 1980, Madam Speaker, which was won by the Honorable J.C. Hutchinson. Madam Speaker, this has resulted in 31 years of neglect, 31 years of hardship and underdevelopment in this constituency of Northeast St. Elizabeth, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, I have good news for this Honorable House. In this, our beautiful constituency, the price paid for non-representation has been horrendous. And if I may say it again, the price paid for non-representation has been horrendous. But, Madam Speaker, the wait for better representation is now behind us. The wait was very heavy and burdensome. But, Madam Speaker, better days are indeed here. And Madam Speaker, the transformation is crystal clear, now being seen without the help of any incandescent bulb, any fluorescent bulb, or any LED bulb. Madam Speaker, slowly but surely, the positive change is here. Madam Speaker, this transformation started way before I became Member of Parliament. As the caretaker, I was very instrumental in working alongside farmers' groups in various communities, lobbying to the Ministry of Agriculture to rather for better roads to improve market access for their goods. Madam Speaker, some of these roads successfully lobbied for, or I will name them, Fantillan Road, I'll say built by Labour. Mall Road, I say built by Labour. Almantry Road, I say built by Labour. Upper Castleton Road, up Balaclava, I say built by Labour. And Good Hope Road, over there in the mountains of Santa Cruz, built by Labour. These farm roads were designed to help farmers improve their lives. Madam Speaker, I can recall receiving so much pushback from so many opposing factions, including my own at times, who insisted that as the caretaker, I was doing the MP's work, Madam Speaker. I can clearly remember a situation when we went by the almond tree community, myself and the farmers group and persons from RADA, to do the final scoping work, Madam Speaker. That community is deemed to be a supporter of the other side. And it was so embarrassing for the Member of Parliament at the time and the council for that division that they crept in trying to take credit for the provisioning of that road, saying that I could not be spending money because I'm the caretaker. But the Member of Parliament had no idea about the representation. They had no idea about the lobbying that was done with the people of the community, with the farmers group, and the president, I won't say her name now, but she would have none of it along with the other people. And the story came to a bump. The credit had to be given to the action man. Madam Speaker, with all the pushback that came my way, I had to get involved because of the people. I am from the people. I am of the people. I am for the people, Madam Speaker. We, the people, needed better representation, and I got involved to be the change that I wanted to see, Madam Speaker. Continuing on the matter of roads and infrastructure, Madam Speaker, there were several issues that were never addressed, which would have continued if I had not won that seat. One of the major developmental challenges is that road improvement work was skewed towards supporters of the other party and where the people resided. Some communities, Madam Speaker, were largely ignored, especially in the so-called JLP strongholds. Areas like Burnt Savannah, Pepper, and sections of Santa Cruz, Park Mountain, New River.
Madam Speaker, I ask that the member be given sufficient time to complete his presentation.
The question before the House is that the member be given sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. We cannot have development that type of way, Madam Speaker. I intend to operate differently and have been working differently. I am an all-inclusive member of Parliament. Whether you are JLP, PNP, or no P, we are all one people, and where needs exist, they will be addressed, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I believe in equal prosperity for all. Yeah, that's right. Upon taking office, I made submission to the Honourable Minister, Everett Warmington, for responsibility for works to renovate and construct 3 roads. These roads are Clinic Road in Pepper, Gostown Road also, and the Brighton Road in Santa Cruz. They are significant and heavily trafficked roads that have been in very poor and deplorable condition for years. but neglected because of where they were located. My God. The Clinic Road has not been rehabilitated for over 30 years, while the Brighton Road has been consistently eroded by heavy rainfall over the years. Madam Speaker, today I'm happy to report that bidding has taken place, the contractor has been selected, work has commenced on all 3 roads at an estimated value of $55 million, Madam Speaker. Better days are here, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the constituency, I say thanks to the Honourable Minister for such a significant capital injection. To date, Madam Speaker, I have spent $20.5 million on road and infrastructural improvement for the residents of northeastern St. Elizabeth, separate from what was previously mentioned. A large part of the budget had to be spent on road patching, beautification, bushing, and drain cleaning. These projects, Madam Speaker, help tremendously to mitigate against damages that would have resulted from the heavy rainfall. Communities from across the entire constituency in all 4 divisions benefited from these works, Madam Speaker. I'm pleased to announce to the people of Park Mountain, the people of Mountain Valley, and Waterloo that we were able to secure another $3 million for road repairs, for which work is to commence shortly, Madam Speaker.
That's right. That's good.
Again, Madam Speaker, there are communities, these are communities which were previously ignored. Again, we are also happy to report to this Honourable House, Madam Speaker, that the people of Content District down there in Rocky Hill, another JLP purportedly area, are overjoyed and extremely ecstatic with the construction of their roadway for the very first time, Madam Speaker. All that existed was rock, stone, and mud. The scope of work also includes the installation and laying of pipelines for the very first time, Madam Speaker, to be undertaken by the Rural Water Supply. Long Hill Road also, Madam Speaker, is also expected to start before the end of this financial year. These roads are being done under the Farm Road Rehabilitation Program. And I must give thanks to the previous Minister of Agriculture, MP Floyd Green, for his bringing them. Thank you, sir. Madam Speaker, I am proud to call Santa Cruz my home. Grew up there as a child, went to high school, did my tertiary level studies and came back. And I'm a businessman there. Halfway successful for the time being. It is the largest town in the parish of St. Elizabeth and is strategically located in the middle of the parish. So this makes it easily accessible and plays a critical role in the logistic chain for the movement of goods and services to support the Western economy, Madam Speaker. For the last 20 years or so, Santa Cruz has become the most sought-after place to live, work, and raise families in St. Elizabeth. It has the highest population in the parish, and there's a strong sense of community cohesiveness. Madam Speaker, because Santa Cruz is such an important town, it offers a number of essential government services. One such is the services offered at the Tax Administration Office, where almost the entire parish comes to do business. The current arrangement to include the physical space is proving to be inadequate, Madam Speaker, resulting in tremendous burden on the tax office having to deal with the numerous services it offers. Madam Speaker, I am asking that the Honourable Minister of Finance to explore the following options in regards to the Santa Cruz tax office. 1, relocate or expand the current facility by constructing a second floor. 2, add a tax office in Junction, and I'm sure my colleague, Mr. Witter, yes sir, add a tax office in Junction so that it can reduce the burden and make it more convenient for those persons who reside in the area. And 3rd, I am saying implement an early payment incentive for property taxes, resulting in a reduction in the traffic experience during the early payment periods and possibly improve compliance rate. Madam Speaker, we do know that property taxes compliance rate is very low, and I do believe that that would have a positive impact on it. Whereas St. Elizabeth crime rate is relatively low, Madam Speaker, there's evidence that crime is on the increase with recent spikes of robberies in Santa Cruz and home breaking last year. Migration of criminals into the constituency has been on the rise too. But the police have been vigilant, Madam Speaker, to reduce the incidence of crime. A lot has been invested in the implementation of Jamaica Eye, and we await its long overdue commissioning, as I do believe it will significantly aid in the current crime-fighting measures, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to focus on the youths in our constituency. These youth have been largely ignored for decades. There's low educational attainment, low skill levels throughout the constituency. Hence, there is an urgent need for the focus to be on education and skills training for our youth, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there's a mass exodus and brain drain of educated persons who obtain their tertiary education. Once they complete their studies, they seldom return, Madam Speaker. Others leave in search of employment opportunities. According to SDC 2014 household survey, over 53% of the household had only one employed person, Madam Speaker, with a high dependence on remittances. There are a large number of persons engaged in informal trade or business, but they are unregistered and fall outside of the ambit of the formal system, Madam Speaker. With the challenges with our youth, we have started work to reduce this imbalance and to improve access to education, Madam Speaker. Nearly 60 tertiary students have already benefited from over $4 million of assistance. An additional $6 million, Madam Speaker, is to be disbursed to approximately 150 beneficiaries. We have also issued educational grant that covers school fees, laptops, and we anticipate that another 100 students, Madam Speaker, will be benefiting from the Ministry of Education Serve Jamaica digital device program to the tune of over $3 million. This on the heels of the ministry's Own Your Own Device initiative, which supported constituents with $20,000 grants. There is much work that needs to be done to achieve the target goal of improved access to education in vocational training and high school certification. And the pandemic has heightened this problem, Madam Speaker. But I intend to lobby the Heart NSTA to implement a Heart campus or community training institution within the constituency, as there's none presently, Madam Speaker. This implementation could result in the establishment of a Heart College of Agriculture with additional offerings such as international partnerships, where those who receive their certification and diploma could sit an overseas examination to certify the course in order to meet the growing demand of the international labor market, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've started preliminary discussions making the necessary checks for the establishment of this post-secondary institution that will focus primarily on vocational training and certification in agriculture, heavy-duty equipment, and articulated tractor-trailer training, Madam Speaker. These are jobs that are in high demand locally and overseas. And I see Honourable Minister Favour Williams agreeing with me. as we are all aware of the global logistical problems resulting from the shortage of lorry drivers in places like the US, Madam Speaker, Europe and Canada. This could give us a great opportunity to have at least 150 persons from the constituency being trained and ready for placement each year. The proposed site, Madam Speaker, being examined is the Gilnock land on the outskirts of Santa Cruz, which Mr. Hutchinson would be quite aware of, which is government-owned and was previously used as a sports ground during Honorable Minister Hutchinson's tenure as Member of Parliament far back, way back. I have reached out to the Honorable Minister of Education about use of said land for such purpose, and discussions will continue. Madam Speaker, one of the main issues in the constituency is that of land ownership or lack thereof. Data will show that not only does St. Elizabeth has a low compliance in property tax payment, but also a very low rate in registered titles, Madam Speaker. I'm pleased to have seen the opening of a NLA office in Santa Cruz and the undertaking of schematic mapping with intended outcome of increasing land ownership and titling, Madam Speaker. The issue of land tenure is a long-standing chronic concern in the parish, and it will take a sustained effort for it to be resolved, Madam Speaker. As such, I'd like to see an extension of the services offered at the NLA office and an expansion of the current program, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, during my term, this lack of land ownership has to change. My people, my constituents, must have legal, registered rights to their land and homes. It is simply not possible to end poverty and gain equal prosperity without making serious progress on land and property rights, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, land ownership gives confidence to individuals. It allows small business and individuals to borrow, using land as collateral, to expand job opportunities and enable government, Madam Speaker, to collect more property taxes, which are necessary to finance the provision of infrastructure and services to its citizens, Madam Speaker. There's a general demand for housing, as the constituency has a population of over 40,000 persons, and there's an upward trend in growth. There are multiple ongoing housing developments, such as the NHT Finance Friendship Oaks Housing Development in the Goshen area, along with other private undertakings, but there still remains a problem for young professionals in accessing the housing market, Madam Speaker. People need affordable housing. So I will be advocating the NHT and more private investors to provide more housing solutions for them. That's right. Madam Speaker, through the Constituency Development Fund, 21 families have benefited from over $700,000 to assist with housing repairs. Through the new social housing program in the Office of the Prime Minister, Madam Speaker, the constituency stands to benefit from the construction of an additional 5 units. At this juncture, Madam Speaker, I must mention this particular incident. I must laud the quick response of our Honorable Prime Minister. This Prime Minister is a man with a golden heart. Why I'm saying that? I remember back in May 2021, a few months ago, there was a housing plight that was highlighted by the Gleaner article that Ms. Karine Nelson had brought to the attention of the public. She was very instrumental in getting that article done, because we were having some discussions about that situation. Today, Madam Speaker, I am happy to report that construction has started for a nice, clean, green, beautiful 3-bedroom dwelling for the family of Courtney. and Topal Williams under the said program. And I remember how often my Prime Minister constantly asking me, how is the program going? How is it going? And that speaks volume for our Prime Minister, who is so busy, but yet he found the time each time to inquire. It's a drastic change from the 18 years of hardship and poor living condition without anyone coming to their rescue, Madam Speaker, moving them from poverty to prosperity. Madam Speaker, this government doesn't dilly-dally when it comes to responding to the urgent needs of its people.
That's right. That's right.
Also, Madam Speaker, through private partnership without any government funding, the JWN Foundation, Ms. Tanya Price, and through bargain hardware, were also able to construct a unit for Mr. Williams, also known as Caveman, in the Silo community. He's a gentleman who has been living in a cave-like setting for over 30 years, Madam Speaker. And today, he is safe in his house. I remember when the interview was done, tears were rolling down his cheeks because he was saying, man, I was wondering if I would die in this state, in that cave-like situation. Madam Speaker, it is such a wonderful and awful privilege to stand representing my people here today. And I'm really filled with joy and excitement. As I said before, there's a lot going on in Northeast and we needed more than the time allotted, but I'm going to try and cut it, Madam Speaker. Under our Emergency and Welfare Assistance Program, we have provided 73 funeral grants. 12 persons benefit from financial assistance for urgent medical care, and this was at the tune of $2.5 million. Under the Northeast COVID-19 Social Support Program, which was supported through various programs and initiatives such as the TBT Coast Spruce Up Care Program, Food Support to Vulnerable Persons Initiative, approximately 1,583 persons received vouchers and food packages to the tune of $5 million, Madam Speaker. My constituents are also grateful to be benefiting from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security short-term poverty intervention program budget at $1.5 million. Madam Speaker, I'm immensely proud of our healthcare workers at such a time like this, and in particular the Northeast St. Elizabeth team and the work they've been doing in the fight against COVID-19. Madam Speaker, these workers have been on the front line from the beginning and to this day continue to offer brave and selfless service for the good of our people. Their actions have spurred me as their representative to highlight and recognize their work. Just recently, Madam Speaker, through partnership with In-Town Supermarket, Morrison Supermarket, Courier Jamaica, Dr. Reynolds, Supreme Wholesale, Cameron Hardware, Cameron Blockmaking, Fairway Distributor, and Drugs and More, I was able to hand over $554,000 in food vouchers to the workers. Madam Speaker, through our economic enablement program, we have assisted 12 persons with small business support amounting to about approximately $700,000 in equipment and supplies, 10 of whom received bushworkers for their small landscaping business. For our farmers, Madam Speaker, St. Elizabeth is regarded as a breadbasket of the country, but many lose sight of the fact that Northeast St. Elizabeth is the handle on that basket, Madam Speaker. Providing the route to market while significantly contributing to annual output, whether from the highly productive Amos lands or the hills of the Santa Cruz Mountains or on the plains of the Nassau Valley or the Bogue Hills. The constituency contributes significantly to crop and animal production, Madam Speaker. To date, we have been able to assist 251 farmers with various inputs such as fertilizers, seeds, chemicals, equipment, livestock feeds, irrigation system, storage tanks, etc. Our support for small farmers are unwavering, and we look forward to providing even more support in the coming months. Moving forward from this pandemic, Madam Speaker, we have to explore new ways of doing business. We must attract investment in agriculture, particularly agro-processing. It is my dream to have a large processing house and a storage facility based in our constituency, offering various services such as business support to small farmers. With the current situation concerning sugar production in this constituency, there's also the urgency to diversify farming into other areas of production. For example, cassava for beer production. Refocusing on crops such as callaloo, cabbage, pop choy, peas, etc. for local and export market. Madam Speaker, peanut cultivation is another subgroup that I am extremely passionate about, as they constitute the largest cluster of farmers in the constituency. I believe more can be done and must be done for these farmers. Madam Speaker, the irregularity in pricing and marketing results in too many unknowns, something I believe strategic intervention can address. I will be working with RADA to provide technical and logistical support to the farmers. I will also set up committees to explore markets rather than leaving it to the individuals to find such markets. I also intend to reintroduce the backyard gardening concept, Madam Speaker. If anything, the COVID-19 pandemic has heightened the need for food security, both for personal and local consumption. And this, Madam Speaker, would reduce the need for imports and improve overall health and wellness of my people. Madam Speaker, the Universal Service Fund has committed to expand broadband access in the constituency, and 4 primary locations were proposed along with other community sites. I want to mention the community of Quickstep, Madam Speaker, nestled in the hills of St. Elizabeth, adjoining Trelawney, which borders with your constituency, Madam Speaker. It has been formally communicated that all aspects of the project will be completed by March 31st. I want to thank Honourable Minister Vaz for the execution of the National Broadband Strategy, from which my people stand to benefit tremendously. Madam Speaker, I want to, before I close off, look at some of our local state agencies. There are several essential state agencies that operate within the constituency that provides daily essential services. Among these are the NWC, the NSWMA, NHD. Madam Speaker, sometimes I question the efficiency of some of these agencies and the need to hold those in office accountable for not serving the people they are hired to serve. National Water Commission, I have an issue. And a lot of my colleagues, I realize, have similar issues. It is with this concern I want to highlight one of the biggest challenges faced by my constituency, Madam Speaker. It has one of the largest watersheds in Jamaica, boasted by multiple surface and underground water supply sources such as wells. But much of the surface water is not harvested. Plus we have a recurring drought to flood cycle, resulting in chronic shortage of irrigation and domestic water supply during the drought period. We have been appealing to the NWC to provide a sustainable water supply to the residents in Northeast Centers, but none. Too little has been taken. The residents are at their breaking point with NWC, Madam Speaker. The constant lock-offs in certain areas is one of the main complaints I receive from residents, especially the Balaclava and Silo division. Madam Speaker, the destruction of our roads in order to carry out repairs and not having them repaired is an unacceptable situation. This is coupled with the NWC constant neglect of leaking pipelines. Not only does this result in the loss of revenue and the precious commodity, but also result in the destruction of many of our roadways. Madam Speaker, there are some communities that have absolutely no access to potable water. In the last stakeholders meeting, NWC committed that they would restart the Santa Cruz to burnt ground water project within a month period. Months have passed now. It is coming to the end of the year and nothing has been done. The residents of burnt ground aren't happy, Madam Speaker. There's a consistent water problem in the Silo area with a constant report and main issue being turbidity level. This can no longer stand in this day and age, Madam Speaker, and a solution must be found. The residents of Silo are not happy, Madam Speaker. The citizens believe that there is some form of polarization when it comes to the distribution of water from the constituency. It doesn't sit well with my constituents that water is being supplied to other parishes and constituencies, but there's none where it originates, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if I should just give a little example. How can you have a pot in your household with ackee and saltfish, dumpling and banana, and nobody in the house will get to eat out of the pot, but other persons can come in and eat out of that pot? Something is wrong with it. We have situations where in Pepper area, Madam Speaker, we have several wells that is supplying other parishes, pump up the hills to go to Manchester, but yet in that community, Madam Speaker, the people are suffering for water. The people of Mitcham are asking, how come? The people of Long Hill are asking, how come? The people of Runit are asking, how come? That they can be pulling water from their area and they're not getting the supply. Not right. Something is wrong with that, Madam Speaker. I don't have a problem in pulling water from our constituency and supplying elsewhere, but take care of my people first. The people of Burnt Savannah have the same situation for years now. We have wells down there pumping water to other constituencies, Madam Speaker, and the people of Lower Prosper, the people of Burton, they're not being supplied with water, and it's being pumped right from around them. Something is not right with that, Madam Speaker. And the people are asking, how come? Madam Speaker, there's something fundamentally wrong with that. It must also be said that complaints are suggesting a political undertone, Madam Speaker. NWC cannot continue in this fashion. Madam Speaker, it is heart-wrenching to stand here and inform the Honourable House that there are still communities in my constituency that are not served by the national grid. Talking about JPS. I have taken the initiative to write to the Honourable Minister Mackenzie, Honourable Minister Davis, for their intervention in providing the essential service to the communities of Couscous Road, sections of Burnt Ground District. There are areas in Seven Corners which saw the installation of poles and wires over a year ago, but to date the lines has not been energized. Honourable Ministers, I am patiently awaiting a favourable response. The people are asking, how come? For the NSWMA, in regards to that particular department, the challenge they're having is clear, and garbage collection in Northeast is a real issue, along, as far my colleagues have said, with other areas. But in St. Elizabeth Northeast, so much so that it was just featured in the Jamaica Observer, Madam Speaker. I am always in dialogue with the hard-working team there, but we are seriously challenged. The delayed collection of garbage for days and sometimes weeks, which I believe is a result of constant breakdown of the trucks, needs urgent attention. So I am appealing to the Minister of Local Government, Sir, Honourable Minister Mackenzie, to look at providing at least 2 trucks down there to serve the parish. Somehow those 2 broken down trucks not going to make it, sir. Madam Speaker, the constituency consists of 3 main townships, with Santa Cruz and Balaclava being the largest. Currently, the only fire brigade station is located in the town of Santa Cruz, which serves as far north as Quickstep, Oxford, and even a section of southern Trelawney. Madam Speaker, I am sure you would agree that a fire station in the Balaclava township would serve us both well, especially knowing you depend solely on the Falmouth station to offer such essential services. I have begun discussion with the Honourable Minister to explore the possibilities of it becoming a reality. Madam Speaker, the National Housing Trust is a vital part of Northeast St. Elizabeth family, having recently resurfaced the roadway in the Jerusalem housing scheme, as well the provision of support to land and homeowners within the constituency, of which I'm grateful. However, Madam Speaker, we are the voice of the poor people, and when there are certain situations that arise, we have to speak on behalf of our people. And I want to ask the question here. I must highlight the inconsistencies of the agency's mission for home ownership, though. And I want to say something. I've recently been shown a letter from a constituent received from the National Housing Trust giving notice of a possible 35% penalty on their arrears. This is a government entity, and I would like to know who made those decisions, where someone who's already not in a position to pay now required to find another 35% possibly to pay in addition to the overdue amount. Something is wrong.
Nothing these days.
Not at all, especially what we're going through. Madam Speaker, I just gonna finish with this last ministry, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. Commendation to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security and the Honourable Minister Samuda, who has offered me tremendous support since taking office, albeit, however, in regards to the PATH program, Madam Speaker, as I understand it, this program is designed to assist the most vulnerable in our society. Correct? Okay. Regardless of political affiliation, correct? But, Madam Speaker, that seemed not to be the case in many instances that I've seen, where some of my most vulnerable constituents who are in dire need of this essential service, Madam Speaker, being denied access for government benefits, while others who are more blessed, I would imagine, based on what I'm seeing, are enrolled and receiving assistance. Something is wrong with it, Madam Speaker. And I strongly believe that there needs to be a comprehensive overhaul of the system and procedure that to something is fundamentally wrong with the process, Madam Speaker, and I'm asking for this to be looked into. Madam Speaker, as I close, I've come to appreciate some facts. Politics is not for the faint-hearted. Politics is not for the financially challenged. Politics is not for the cry baby, nor for the corrupt. Politics should be reserved for those who are sincere about giving back. Madam Speaker, those who are sincere about willing to serve, Madam Speaker, with the best interests of the people at heart, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am a man possessed. Possessed with making Northeast St. Elizabeth the envy of all other constituencies. Madam Speaker, for those who have ear to hear, let them hear. Madam Speaker, as of now, Northeast St. Elizabeth has closed its doors to any other aspiring Member of Parliament, while Delroy, Gary Slowly, aka the Action Man, is in town. Madam Speaker, I thank you very much. The Lord bless you. Thank you, my colleagues.
Madam Speaker, members, Madam Speaker, members, two spirited presentations by Dr. Michelle Charles, Member of Parliament, St. Thomas Eastern, and MP Delroy Slowly of Northeast St. Elizabeth. Wonderful presentations today, Madam Speaker. And so at this point, I now ask for the debate to be suspended. Next Tuesday, we will have presentations from the Most Honorable Gillette Holness, Member of Parliament for East Rural St. Andrew, MP Philip Paulwell, East Kingston and Port Royal, and from MP Crystal Lee, St. Anne Northwest. So we look forward to next week's presentation, Madam Speaker. I think members of Parliament, they have been doing exceptionally well, and I'm so, so proud of them. So, Madam Speaker, I now ask for the debate to be suspended.
The question before the House is that the State of the Constituency debate be suspended until next week, Tuesday. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, I now ask for the recommittal of items, notices of motions given orally. Yes, and also announcements, Madam Speaker. Recommittal of items, announcement, and notices of motions given orally.
Members, the question is that there are two items on the agenda to be recommitted. The item announcements and the item motions that may be made at the commencement, notices of motions given orally. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk, announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today is a certified appropriation account for head 68,000A, Ministry of Transport and Mining, capital A, for the year 2016-2017, and 68,000 Ministry of Transport and Mining, capital B, for the year 2016-2017.
Notices of motions given orally.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Trafficking in Persons, Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Amendment Act 2021. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to introduce the bill. I have it read a first time and give notice for a second reading.
Public business.
Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Trafficking in Persons, Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Amendment Act 2021.
The question is that the standing orders be suspended to enable the Minister to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Trafficking in Persons, Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Amendment Act 2021. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
A bill shortly entitled the Trafficking in Persons, Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Amendment Act 2021. Read a first time.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice of second reading of the bill.
House Leader. Delroy.
Madam Speaker, at this time we will ask Minister Chuck to take the bill shortly entitled the Emergency Powers Amendment Act 2021.
Madam Speaker, this is a very short amendment, so I shouldn't be long. And the leader of the opposition, who will be responding, has asked that we open, but not to close until next week, because although it was tabled last week, he would like some more time to examine it, but he will make his contribution, if at all, next week. So I've agreed with him that we would open. I think Minister Chang will also speak, and then anyone else would like to speak, and then we close next week.
Put it in writing.
So, Madam Speaker, this bill deals with the Emergency Powers Act and the Emergency Public Security Act. And, Madam Speaker, these were enacted in 1938 and 1939. So, Madam Speaker, these bills, the laws, are long overdue for not only repeal, but for updating. And indeed, Madam Speaker, what really kept the delayed, the minor amendments which are being done, is because we sought to see what additional amendments could be made to really try to update the bill. But as I will point out later, even the most minor amendments can have repercussion on other laws, including the Constitution. So as you try to make additional amendments to these simple laws, you run into difficulty. But I do give the House the assurance that before long, these two laws should be updated. Indeed, Madam Speaker, these two laws have been repealed in most countries, including the United Kingdom, from which these laws emerged. And indeed, Madam Speaker, the Law Reform Department that has been engineering a fair amount of the updating of laws, they have been under pressure. But I would say to the House that a lot of laws in Jamaica need updating. And I do have a submission to take to Cabinet to really strengthen the Law Reform Department, because most of our laws, Madam Speaker, are over 100 years. And we need to update them. We started out with the penalties, and we're hoping over the next few months that many of these penalties will be updated, many other laws will be updated. But, Madam Speaker, as I will point out shortly, amendments to laws is not an overnight job. It takes time. And, because to get consistency, to go to all the different stakeholders, it does take time. But, Madam Speaker, with respect to the bill before us today, I must highlight that their submission today is further evidence of what I hope to do to update as many of these laws as possible. The amendments are quite small, Madam Speaker, but important. To do this because just recently in a case, Douglas, the court pointed out a defect in the Emergency Powers Act in that it was not consistent with the Constitution. We were aware of this, Madam Speaker, and the change should have been done long ago. And in fact, Madam Speaker, the amendment should have been done after the Charter of Rights was enacted. But since 2011, 2012, it has not been done. I cannot really say, Madam Speaker, why it was not done immediately. But the truth is that it should have been done long ago. But the matter that was referred to in court, Madam Speaker, is now in the Court of Appeal. And it is urgent for us to at least, when it gets to the Court of Appeal, we can note that the amendments or the flaw in the law, which was pointed out by the court, has been dealt with. I turn, Madam Speaker, your attention to Clause 2 of the bill, which now includes a definition for period of public disaster to reflect the similar definition in section of the Charter of Rights. Additionally, Madam Speaker, reference to Section 26 of the Constitution has been amended to read Section 20. This is because, Madam Speaker, Section 26 was repealed upon the enactment of the Charter. and a similar amendment was made in the Emergency Public Security Act. Then, Madam Speaker, in Clause 3, the penalty provisions in the Emergency Powers Act was also amended, as you will see in Clause 3 of the bill. A new provision has been included, Madam Speaker, to give the relevant minister power to change the penalties by order, subject to affirmative resolution. So, Madam Speaker, the main change is to correct and make the Emergency Powers Act and the Emergency Public Security Act consistent with the Charter of Rights, and also to increase the penalties consistent with the DRMA, the Disaster Risk Management Act. So it moves to 3 months or $1 million instead of what is presented there. But, Madam Speaker, as I said, changing the laws, even the slightest amendment, is not easily done. So as I pointed out, we want to update these 2 laws, but we are not doing these slight amendments. Madam Speaker, you hear all the time that this law should be changed as if it can be done overnight. It's just not possible. Madam Speaker, there's one law which we brought here that started in 1995, the OCHA bill, and up to now it has not been passed by the House because there are so many amendments. Madam Speaker, today I'm coming from chairing the Legislation Committee, a teaching council bill that started before 2010, and we have been on it for 5 sessions, and probably another couple more sessions, because the bill, even though it is before us, quite frankly, I have problems with it. And we are going through many, many amendments. And by the time it comes to the House, it might even be further amendments. And we saw that, Madam Speaker, with the NIDS bill, where even after we went through, and believe me, I went through in detail, but once it came to the Joint Select Committee, there were still other changes. And even after we made the changes at the Joint Select Committee, it came here, and we still had some other addition. Madam Speaker, we want, and the Prime Minister have instructed relevant ministers, that the Road Traffic Act must be in place before the end of the year. When I checked on it recently, Madam Speaker, it's just to bring the regulations into operation. There's a 200-page comment, which legal law reform is going through in details, and I begged them every week. I said, have you finished? Get it back to Minister Montague, because we want the Prime Minister. This thing is taking too long. 3 years since the act has been passed, and the regulations can't come into places yet. We're ensuring that in another few weeks we will be able to finish so that the regulations can be completed. So, Madam Speaker, I say this because this bill is a simple bill. Should not take this long. But the truth is that they have to pass policy direction, have to be consistent. They have to be sent to all the stakeholders. All the departments have to give their views. And at the end of the day, before you know it, months pass. But, Madam Speaker, I'm committed, and the Prime Minister, the government is committed to have as many laws updated, reformed, and passed during this fiscal year. And I will be giving as much support and assistance as I can, because quite a number of laws are presently, Madam Speaker, just waiting for final amendments before we can table them. But I expect in this fiscal year, quite a few more amendments and laws will come for debate. With those extended remarks, Madam Speaker, I ask for other members who would like to make contribution before I ask for suspension.
Madam Speaker, the Minister of Justice has brought a straightforward amendment to bring, it's referred to as a reference amendment, to ensure that the emergency, in line with the Charter of Rights, the Emergency Powers Act and the Emergency Public Security Act are so amended. It's a reference to which reference to Chapter 26 should really be reference to Chapter 20 in the new numbering of the Constitution. And the opportunity was taken, of course, to bring some penalties in line in terms of dealing with public safety. The effect of this is that if the leadership of the security force, Commissioner of Police, Chief of Staff, should see fit that be able to seek from the Prime Minister a public state of emergency, that we will be doing so not only within the law and the Constitution, and be able also to examine and use this tool at this time. I am in no way seeking to announce such an event, but it is important that the tool is available if required by the security forces. I made that point, Madam Speaker, because we accept there is a significant, whether continued and persistent high violence in the community. And the question is, at what point do we as a society concede that the level of crimes has attained public emergency status? The regional average for homicide is some 17.2 per 100,000. International average is 6.1 per 100,000. And we do say this against the background of a country which maybe have, in Jamaica, one of the longest history of elective democracy. That's the point to take. At the same time, at the end of 2017, the murder rate in the parish of St. James, one of the most economically active parish and the center of our resort industry, had a homicide rate of 186.5 per 100,000. Question is, when do we see this as a crisis? Because the debate as to whether or not we need extraordinary powers to deal with this issue seemed to me, for those who are involved, a little bit superfluous, but it is being debated, and I thought it would be appropriate at this time as we make the required amendments, we take the opportunity to take a look at the reality of the situation we face as a country. In 2020, for example, the 4 police divisions that I call the Southern Crescent of the corporate area, involving some just under 20% of the population of the country, consistently result in over near 40% of the homicide in Jamaica. The homicide rate in East Kingston was at 77 per 100,000 and went above that at some point. In Kingston Central, it was 197 per 100,000. In Kingston Western, 172. And of course in South St. Andrew, at the time in South St. Andrews, we did the statistics 77 per 100,000. Madam Speaker, if these rates do not signal a security emergency, then I wonder what else. In the international jargon, international literature, the United Nations regard 31 per 100,000 as a crisis. None of these communities come near this figure. In July 2020, the government and the opposition signed off on a national consensus on crime. I recall that the occasion was met with much public interest and public approval. Madam Speaker, the terms of the consensus document were meticulously reviewed and agreed upon by all the relevant stakeholders, including the members of the opposition, civil society, academia, private sector. It was considered and agreed that there are circumstances in which the use of emergency security response would be appropriate and necessary. The consensus agreement underscored, and I quote, "We will support the use of the military as permitted by law in the geographic areas where the homicide rate is above 32 per 100,000, which is twice the regional average, where the JISTV determines it is incapable of controlling this violence with their current resources and capability, and the Commissioner of Police, with the support of the Chief of Staff, the Jamaica Defence Force, agree that it is necessary, and so recommends. 32 per 100,000, which exceeds the regional average, was the benchmark agreed by all the stakeholders. And yet, with the murder rate as they are now, the opposition wishes to debate whether or not we are in fact experiencing a security emergency. Madam Speaker, I'd like to put this in another context. Section of I refer to the other piece of legislation we use where we give enhanced security powers, the zones of special operations, because one have to view this particular piece of legislation working in tandem. The state of public emergency may be at the top. We then go to zone of special operations, I need to reiterate, we have done the renewal of it on a regular basis, but it is necessary to repeat the way it fits into the overall security operation. And of course, we get back to normalcy, which we are seeking to get to by virtue of reducing the homicide rate. Mount Salem community was designed as a zone of special operation in 2017. It met the criteria of rampant criminality and escalating violence. Prior to that establishment of the zone, the Mount Salem community had been plagued with increased gang-related activities. Members will further recall that the parish state of public emergency, which incorporates the parish of St. James, Hanover and Westmoreland, was declared in April 30, 2019. Therefore, the Mount Salem community would have benefited from both the zone of special operation as well as the state of public emergency. Members of the security forces would have been able to clear the space of violence producers, retain a strong during the whole phase, while the social investment, infrastructural development, skills training, other empowerment opportunities were concretized during the build phase. Upgrades completed, and I give a few. Improvement in the basic utilities with regularization for over 500 residents with the Water Commission. Over 4,300 meters of roadway completed, accounting for 93% of the roadway in the community. Over 1,300 meters of zinc fence substitution. The Mount Salem Primary and Infant School will be undertake a full rehabilitation, costing about $32 million. The Mount Salem Police Station will be completed and handed over to the community as we move to finalize that aspect and move into a normalcy phase. As we work in this committee, we will be undertaking house-to-house surveys in communities of this sort. We will be undertaking surveys to ensure that we find accurately empirical data to inform our way forward. Namely, in contrast to other social investment and intervention programs they are called, we'll be getting house-to-house data into identified or targeted outcomes. In other words, we need to know how many young people, how many young men in that community exist who are in need of support to get training and education. We need to know the students who are in that community, how many are there, how many are on truants, we need to know how many kids are in there. We need to go to the public health service, how many families are in need of the social security safety support system, and how to get them involved. And all the socio-demographic data is required to bring all the members of the community into the formal economy to restore their hope and to give them equity in society. It is out of that milieu that we get the criminal action. We seek to find them from as early as they are conceived, the single parents living in difficult conditions who will need to begin to provide support to our social safety net. It is not a very fine net, but it has enough support in there to provide opportunities for the community, the members of the community which we are dealing. In addition to that, we have our target outreach in youth engagement. Not only in terms of having identified them, we provide them access to Hope Heart training. And I must make mention of the Caribbean Military Academy, which is now active in the West, which has been with both the Jamaica National Service Corps and the technical training to young males in particular, but reaching to all cross-sections of the community, have already engaged near 5,000 youngsters. Currently at the Institute in Western Jamaica, they are currently recruiting directly from the community. I had the privilege of only last week visiting to see how things were proceeding. There are 30 young men from the communities of Flanker, Norwood, Lendevon, Rose Heights, in training in doing articulated vehicle and heavy vehicle operation. These young men, I'm sure, will have access to good quality jobs waiting on them. The cost for that, of course, is roughly $72,000 per student. And I mention this because I want to emphasize the government's commitment to spending and investing social investment, but in a target way and a way that it reaches those who are affected. I had the experience of working with a former project, now completed, where 68% of the money went to staffing outside of the normal civil service activity, went to consultants and papers and studies. And what was coming out was samples, and we got some good stuff, but it was not done in a sustainable manner, and it did not include the institutions of the state that serve the poor people. And that is what we're reversing as a government. We must improve the services provided in the public health, in the schools, and in the training facilities, as well as providing a secure community through the police force. The JNSC program, of course, is a fantastic program which seeks to engage a wide cross-section of young people, but in particular young males, and that is done at a cost of 1 year training, full military training, cost approximately $2 million. Community should be aware that those young men not only receive the training, stipend, a part of that stipend is retained as compulsory saving. So they leave, when they leave, if they leave and they don't find a job, they have something to start with. But most of them at this stage find jobs in other areas of government or in the private sector where they are welcome, as they have gone through a process of training which impact on their personality and their significant human development in those areas. All of these activities, Madam Speaker, are measurable activities, which I want to emphasize because this is how we are approaching social investment, to establish, identify the needs, and target those that are required. So when we are finished, we know we can get to a stage where we are back to normalcy. And all of the work and the services are provided in an environment of safety provided by the country's security forces. We are not negotiating with the criminals to provide safety for any of our people. All right. Today, the residents of Mount Salem are experiencing a record low number of violent crimes that used to take place in their community. Murders and shootings have shown significant reduction in the order of 73% decline in murders and 81% decline in shootings. That's pretty much back to a civilized, normal community. I've heard a call from various members of Parliament for declaration of zones of special operation. The principles being adopted and what we have been advised by our Prime Minister to do is to literally proof of concept in the zones of special operations. There are a number of areas with extremely significant challenges. The Planning Institute of Jamaica examine the communities and look at the vulnerabilities in all areas: violence, poverty, trust in government, and various other factors. And we can identify some 20 extreme communities. But they are well within, in that study, there are just under 100 communities across Jamaica, in particular in our southeastern belt, ranging from South Clarendon into Western St. Thomas and the Western Tri-Parish area of St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland, which have major problems. And the principles being applied in the zones of special operation of clear, hold, and build, and in the build phase to invest in the physical and human resources of our community will be followed. So the instructions as we move forward. But in dealing with these areas, Madam Speaker, let me just pause to again emphasize the critical benefit of a state of public emergency which sometimes is debated. First of all, there is, of course, the saving of lives. When we introduced, as shown by the statistics, and I would maybe use one example again from the West St. James, where when it was first introduced over the 379-day period, the reduction was well over 100%. We moved from 185 to 100,000, which was just about 335 homicides. I'll give the exact numbers another point. And outside of that was down to just 100, which was worth what? 2/3 a reduction in a very dramatic short time. The community felt different. My constituency is there. The members of the community were not only happy to have what's happening, their life was changed. As one gentleman said to me, my daughter works at the free zone in the outsourcing service. She does the late shift, but I cannot go to sleep before she gets in and knock on the door at 2 o'clock in the morning, because I don't know if she'll be killed on the way home by crossfire and loose fire. That changed, and people were willing to sleep and operate like normal. But when questions are asked by those who like to portray the security for a certain way, there was no mass detention of thousands of young people. When you go into a community, you have to investigate. In addition to that, the benefit to the security forces, and I close, is principally the police supported by the army can in fact intercept the killers. And Madam Speaker, I repeat that. That's the principal purpose of the bill. We can use intelligence under the state of emergency to detain someone. That is the primary benefit and what comes out of it. And therefore you can stop a killer from his activities. This country suffers from a culture of informing for dead. Individuals are willing to give what they call the first person affidavit to provide evidence. It's extremely difficult. The government recognizes that and has spent significantly on upgrading the technical capacity of our security forces. We will have maybe one of the finest, when we complete the autopsy suite which we are about to begin, the finest Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine in the Western Hemisphere. And we have seen it at work already. The last circuit court in St. James, some 21 cases, applied forensic DNA science, and we had convictions. But science alone cannot do it. And the fact is, with the level of homicide we have to pursue the two parts. One is to suppress and save lives, suppress the criminal activity and killing, build out the police force, both in human resources in terms of manpower, technology, and support, and bring it to a point where we get back to normal policing. Normal policing will not be able to deal with the level of homicide at the rate at which we are pursuing. If you were to take the situation as existing in St. James at the time, you'd maybe need the entire police force to deal with 235 homicides in any one time. If you take, and the statistics will bear that out, the demand in manpower would need a police force 3 times the size we're operating on. So that, Madam Speaker, is the strategy and policy of the government to ensure we can bring the murder rate down while we improve the capacity of the police force in all areas, in terms of numbers, science and technology, deployment, organization, training as is required. And the last comment I'd make, Madam Speaker, too, in terms of the issue of the broad alleged sweeping of young people off the street. What a rubbish, Madam Speaker. At the end of the last call of the state of public emergency, and there have been 5 so-called, 2020, August, all of them were discontinued. The police had in custody, on detention, roughly 240 individuals. 240. Not 1,000, not 500, 240. Of which 50% were charged before. The others who have been released are identified and known gangsters. Several migrated immediately. Several have been shot in inter-gang war, and some have been returned to incarceration because of their own. At this point, there's enough evidence to lock them up. That's a fact of record, and the exact figures are available, Madam Speaker. So nobody is using enhancement to go out there and sweep. We go out there with intelligence to identify, that identifies the killers, and we detain them to save lives. That is our primary purpose, and provide the security forces with the space and time to find the evidence to prosecute those that we, in a systematic way. We wouldn't have the size police force to prosecute all they have. And indeed, Madam Speaker, if we prosecuted all the violent crime that committed in the country in any 1 year, the court system could handle it. You're a lawyer. There's no way the court system we have now can handle 2,000 shootings. So we need to bear these things in mind. But let me just express my appreciation to my colleagues. We brought this amendment from the Ministry of Justice. It took a while, I must confess. As a layman, I find a year to do the research and make a reference amendment, rather a little bit for a non-lawyer. A bit surprising, but that's the way it is. But, Madam Speaker, I said it is here. We look forward to concluding the bill. And while the work continues from the security force in all the volatile communities, and the security force server will have the opportunity to examine again the status in these communities and if they so choose to make recommendations to the government. There clearly, if what is happening continues, there may be instances where we need that kind of power. And that is why the amendment is brought. However, it was necessary to ensure that all legislation are in keeping with our Constitution, and such failure to amend legislation or make consequences of amendment should not be there. But it was so it was, and we look forward to concluding this amendment and allow us, said, the security force to examine the status of activity in the volatile communities where they have been working with the tools they have. As they are currently going through various, surges where we use curfew cordons. We have had significant success in areas, but the challenge of dealing with the thousands of guns that young people out there have is, in fact, continues to create a problem. And, Madam Speaker, one of the irony of all this, some of the challenges you have here, some of the increased challenge is a result of your own success. We're currently having one major gang trial with 33 individuals. It took a huge amount of manpower and time, and even the trial itself absorbed a huge amount of manpower and time to keep control of the criminals, protect the witnesses, huge amount, and protect the court officers and those involved in the operation. But I raise that because there have been increasing prosecution of gang leaders. One gang leader has got 38 years. Several others have been killed in confrontation, and several are in jail. When we take out leaders, Madam Speaker, the younger ones who have been recruited without guidance and have firearms, they kill each other. And it will be more effort and time to apprehend those who have firearms, to remove the firearms from the street, and to divert the young ones will take time. Madam Speaker, I commend the bill to my colleagues and look forward to its passage in the next sitting of the House. But I thought it would be important to outline to you the rationale and to again remind the country of the state of affairs in the area of criminal violence. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I now ask for suspension of the bill until next week.
The question before the House is that the bill be suspended until next. The debate be now suspended until next week. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. The bill is suspended.
Madam Speaker, there being no further business, I now ask that the Honourable House be adjourned until Tuesday, October 26th at 2 p.m.
The question before the House is that the House be adjourned until next week, Tuesday, the 25th of October. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. This House is now adjourned. Members, I am just making certain that I said until Tuesday, the 26th of October.